Hello, and welcome back to Beyond Earth News. I'm David, and with me, as always, is my co host, Zach. Zach, why don't you tell us what we're looking at today?
Sure. We're going to be going over NASA and their selection of several corporations to carry out studies on the possibility of using commercial assets to explore Mars. Each of these companies received between $200,000 and $300,000 to conduct these 12-week studies that will be finished sometime in August.
Excellent. Let's dive in.
In early May, NASA announced that they had selected 9 companies to carry out 12 studies. The purpose of these studies is to look at adapting or modifying current projects focused on the Moon or Earth to be used in the exploration of Mars. NASA placed the selected projects into 4 category groupings. The first category of studies is small payload delivery and hosting services. These went to Lockheed Martin to adapt a lunar exploration spacecraft, Impulse Space to adapt an Earth vicinity orbital transfer vehicle, essentially a space tug, and to Firefly Aerospace to adapt a lunar exploration spacecraft. The second category of studies is large payload delivery and hosting services. These went to ULA to modify an Earth vicinity cryogenic upper stage, Blue Origin to adapt an Earth and lunar vicinity spacecraft, specifically their Blue Ring spacecraft, and finally to Astrobotic to modify a lunar exploration spacecraft, specifically their Griffin lander.
The third category of studies is Mars Surface Imaging Services. These went to Albedo Space to adapt a low Earth orbit imaging satellite, Redwire Space to modify a LEO commercial imaging spacecraft, specifically their Argus platform, and to Astrobotic to modify a lunar exploration spacecraft to include imaging. The final category is Next Generation Relay Services. These went to SpaceX to adapt Earth orbit communication satellites for Mars, most likely Starlink, Lockheed Martin to provide communication relay via a modified Mars orbiter, and to Blue Origin to provide communication relay through an adapted Earth and lunar vicinity spacecraft. The call for these studies is in line with a Mars exploration plan that NASA came up with last year. The plan outlines more frequent, less expensive trips to Mars. NASA is looking at smaller commercial missions costing between $100 and $300 million and launching them every time an opportunity to get to Mars arises, once roughly every 2 years.
It is important to note that these are feasibility type studies. NASA isn't guaranteeing that any study will result in further contracts, though promising projects could see calls for additional studies and additional funding.
So there you have it, a bit of a shorter update, but no less interesting. Zach, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the subject.
It seems like NASA is kind of going in the same direction they've gone with the Moon, getting commercial entities interested and looking at opportunities to go there. So they're kind of pushing that onto Mars because we know that the Artemis program isn't just about going to the Moon, it's about going to the Moon in preparation for getting humans to Mars. So it makes sense that they would start having, corporations think about those opportunities. And you can kind of see that they're laying the groundwork for that human visit with how they've kind of broken down these categories. You had the smaller and larger payload capabilities that they looked at, obviously getting stuff to Mars. Then they have the communications relay category. They want that strong communications connection between Earth and Mars, and then they're just you can see that they're laying the groundwork. Basically, you can see that they're seeing that future of humans on Mars, and they want to be prepared, and they want to have commercial partners helping them get there. But what about you? What caught your interest?
Yeah, you make a lot of good points. The thing for me that's most interesting is I suppose that this is the first step, hopefully, of many steps on the road towards getting some equipment in space around Mars and helping us lay, as you mentioned, the groundwork so that we can eventually have humans there on Mars doing things on Mars routinely, maybe a Mars base, setting up that infrastructure that will be critical to their success in the future. As we mentioned earlier, it is a long ways off. but these studies will hopefully provide some interesting information and a solid foundation for what will be an exciting time in the future. Those are our thoughts, but we'd love to hear from you, viewers. Please let us know what you think down in the comments.
All right. You know what time it is. If you've made it this far, please leave a like and subscribe for more Beyond Earth news.
Thanks for watching.